Hey, what is up guys? So I got something super cool to share off. It's a pretty anti-meta-ish deck. It is artifact kaijus or kaiju artifacts, and it is pretty dang good against pendulums. Now it is going to be a tough matchup simply because you need to kind of open up with waterfront, I feel like, in kaijus just to be super effective. But now with the interrupted kaiju slumber, this can help out quite a bit, as you guys will eventually see. This card is just so good, it just destroys everything on the board, and then it allows you to establish your star-destroying kaiju, which is a really good effect because once this guy comes out, when anything would target something, you can go ahead and remove 3 counters on the field, and then negate the effect, and then also destroy a card. And I'll also give you guys the deck profile for this, because I know a lot of you guys, you want something more budget friendly, because, you know, Solemn Note is pretty expensive card, right? But some of the artifact stuff, if you maybe still happen to have it lying around from, you know, when you're playing some of those Trap Tricks artifacts, this can be a deck that you can perhaps try out yourself and see if you like it. Like I said, it is pretty much an anti-meta-ish deck, and it's not like you have like a certain random bad matchup. Maybe if you match up against like Rogue or something. Pretty much the thing that's going to destroy you the most is probably Vandy's Emptiness, but I mean, you could argue anything loses to Vandy's Emptiness. I mean, every deck now has access to Twin Twister, and I feel like that card is just so dang good. And especially when you combo it with like Scythe, where like they can't special summon anything from the extract, and you're just completely destroying the pendulum scales over and over. And that's pretty good access because usually when, well, you don't have the ability to do it there, but that effect is really good, being able to negate the effect that's targeting, and in addition to that, you're going to be able to get rid of your opponent's other cards. So I really like that aspect of it. But anyways, he goes ahead and summons the Norden, and then he's going to go ahead and bring out a bunch of other cards. He's going to go ahead and make Trapeze Magician, and he's going to go ahead and be able to finally get over that Moral Talk. But remove Brainwashing. It's a really strong card in this game because just being able to get rid of your opponent's monster and just be like, oh, it's my monster, and he goes ahead and activates the time-space trap hole, but psych! The Sea Turtle, too good for that. He's not dealing with any of that. So the deck revolves around a lot of negation, and the other guy's just like, oh, I drew Maxi. It kind of sucks because at that point he just quit. Because with the Kaiju Waterfront, you're able to consistently add cards over and over. And you guys can see he negated his opponent several times. He made it so his opponent, which was playing before Pal, before Mage, couldn't really play the game super properly. Yeah, I'm aware at one point he did make the Trapeze Magician and the Castell, but for the most part he negated a lot of his stuff, and that was really good. And so, like, yeah, like when he went for the time space trap pull, he was able to remove 2 kaiju counters to negate the activation of a card or effect. So this one's really strong. It only has 2200 attack, so that's the downside. Also, you can only control 1 kaiju monster, so that's like the real downside of kaijus, I feel like, is you can only control 1. Obviously if you control multiple, it'd be really strong because you can exceed and stuff like that. But anyways, let me go ahead and give you guys the deck profile because it's something different, and I think some of you guys will enjoy seeing this deck because I would say it's relatively budget friendly. Now, he only had 11 cards in the extra deck, but I have some other cards you can try out if you want to add them in, or feel free to add whatever you want to do. But thanks for sending in the replay, I appreciate it, man. So we have the Star Destroying Kaiju, 2 copies of him, 1 of the Mad Flame, 2 copies of the Sea Turtle, 2 copies of the Multi-Dimensional Kaiju, 3 copies of Artifact Scythe, and Artifacts right now, you gotta play 3 Scythe, and then do 1 copy of Moral Attack. Really wish this guy just went to 2, it would be really nice. And then he also is playing the Great Ulls. This just really helps out when you happen to have an opponent that isn't playing as aggressive, because, you know, with the artifacts you're setting those on the back row, unless you have the Sanctum, you don't have a real way to play aggressively, and so this can definitely help out. Then he's got 2 copies of Maxi, then 3 copies of Terraforming, and like I said, you have to open up with Waterfront, otherwise this deck just doesn't perform very well. Next up, you've got 3 copies of the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, which is it's basically like a dark hold, and each player gets a Kaiju, but obviously you give them one that you're going to run over anyways, and you usually go for your Star Destroying Kaiju in this card. It then protects itself pretty well, I'd say, because you get to remove 3 counters, and obviously if they happen to have monsters on board, dark hold basically, and they're going to have extra counters for you to put on the Waterfront, and it'll be good to go. But And this card is just super good. In addition to its already strong effect, as you can see from like the duel, you can also banish it from your graveyard to add another Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. So that's really good. And then 2 copies of Twin Twister. I think every deck is going to be playing this card now. And then 2 copies of Greater Impact. So you can target 1 other Greater card you control and 1 card your opponent controls, destroy them, and then during the end phase you can add 1 Greater card from your deck to your hand. You can only use its effect once per. I think this card is okay. Obviously, you have to target another Greater card. I wish you could just target itself. That would have been really nice if the deck allowed it. But yeah, unfortunately, you don't have access to that. Next up, Kaiser Coliseum. Because of the way that this deck is oriented around having just 1 monster on board, if you can make this against pendulums, obviously, yeah, they're not going to do too hot. They don't. Most pendulum decks don't have a pendulum monster that can just summon to really deal with this. So this is a really great card to be able to just be like, oh, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and make this outscale. I'll play because you can't use 1 card to get over it. And then, of course, 3 copies of the Waterfront, because Waterfront is freaking amazing. Like I said, you got to open up with the first one, otherwise the deck can fall apart relatively fast. Next up, 3 copies of Artifact Sanctum. That's Artifact deck, and more than likely you're going to want 3 of those. And then he's playing 1 of the Kaiju Capture missions, so it's once per turn. If there are less than 3 Kaiju counters on this card, you can target 1 Kaiju monster on the field, change it to face down defense position, then place 1 Kaiju counter on this card, max 3. If this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can draw 2 cards. I love that effect, but you usually don't get that effect, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a decent little card. It helps you with counters because most of the time you can use most of the Kaiju effects like once or twice, with the exception of the Star Destroying one. Usually you only get that effect like once, just simply because this can only have 5 counters and this can have 3. So that really helps you be able to use this effect more than once, and I really like that. It really helps out because obviously if you have 5 minus 3, that's 2. I'm pretty bad at math, but I figured that one out. Then remove brainwashing, because like you tribute your opponent's stuff and you get your cards back. It's really unfair. Oh, by the way, what happens is, if I know before there was a glitch with remove brainwashing, the Kaiju would get confused and it would keep on going back and forth because it didn't know what to do, but now it does work properly. So yeah, you can still only control 1 Kaiju though, just as a heads up. I think you saw in the duel, like at one point, just the other one went to the graveyard. And then he's playing 2 copies of Call of the Haunted, and then 1 Solemn Warning for the last trap. I also suggest Bottomless Trap Pool. I think that's also a great trap card if you guys want to try out that as well. Maybe you can drop like the Great Impact. I just really wish you could destroy itself. That would have been just so much better. For the extra deck, which you very rarely go into other than maybe the rank 5s, this is what he's got. He's got Gaia Dragon, he's got M7, 2 Pleiades, 1 Volcasaurus, 2 copies of Durendal, 1 Acid Golem, 1 Alucard, 1 Zenmaines, and 1 Fortune Tune. Other great rank 3s, because with the Kaijus you don't have access to using 2 of them, so you can't really make anything from like double Kaijus unless your opponent like randomly gives you something and then you get out like another Kaiju that happens to be the same level as like a Lava Golem or something like that. It's very rare. Obviously it's better to have 15 cards than not, but these are some other good like rank 3s. They're kind of more conditional, but like at least they're slightly useful. So this is just for damage if you don't want to go for Acid Golem. Levier, you can randomly get back certain things, like getting back like a Thunder King or something like that can be very good. No one really plays anti-meta anymore, but you know, it's still just a random card that you can have access to if you happen to already have it. And then Anganir is pretty good because it can actually protect a monster, especially if you can protect a Kaiju. Pretty good stuff. And then the Tempo, it used to be something that a lot of people main deck, but it doesn't see too much play anymore just because there's other things. But like I said, you have extra room in this deck. Dante can actually be okay in this deck simply because you know, he also has 25 defense after he attacks for 25. He does send cards to the graveyard, which can be good because you're able to call the Haunted, you can bring back your stuff, and obviously if it's special summoned during your opponent's turn, it still procs that effect that you really need to destroy pendulum decks. It still can proc that effect. But also, in addition to that, it has the ability to put the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber in the graveyard, so it allows you to add another Kaiju if you'd like. But that's it for the deck. Oh, I guess you can technically get out Great Alligator too, if it is just with a Battle Bar spell effect. You obviously can get it back, or you get to take something, and obviously if they attack, you can either call a Haunted, bring back the Great All, and take whatever you want to take. It can be pretty awesome. But yeah, Dante just has a little bit of utility in the deck, so if you happen to have one, I'd say Dante's pretty cheap now. I mean, for the most part, like I said, it is pretty budget friendly. Most of the Kaiju stuff isn't too expensive as of right now, and obviously Solemn Notice is a great card, but I don't know if this guy had the mind of keeping it budget. But thanks for the replay, and very awesome deck profile. If you guys have any suggestions for this deck, because I think a lot of players, they want something new. They want to, if you can't, maybe either you can't afford the Perform Pal, Perform Mages, or if you just don't like pendulums, you have access to this deck, which can be a very fun deck. And like I said, like, it's very hard to deal with the ability to you know, when your opponent goes for tribute your monster, it's like Cyber Dragon Infinity, no problem. It's just really good, especially with some decks investing heavily into that one Cyber Dragon Infinity. It's a very, very good idea to start playing some Kaijus. A lot of people are actually citing Kaijus in just to deal with Cyber Dragon Infinity, just to deal with like Naturia Beast and those cards where it's like, I make it, I win. You know, even the new Ray Raptor guy, he can be dealt with really easy with the Kaijus. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts, and if you guys have any suggestions in the comment section below. But thanks for watching, guys. I'm Will Smith, signing out.